When the first creatures with skull and backbone tried to walk on land, a 70-centimeter venomous scorpion was already there, hunting in daylight, waiting. It had solved land living before the vertebrates arrived, and this is the smallest bug in this video. Meganeura. Meganeura predates dragonflies by 50 million years. It is what dragonflies eventually descended from, and what they had to shrink down from to become what they are. The skull was nothing but eye. Thousands of independent lenses. By the time something moved, Meganeura already knew where it would be. Wingspan 65 to 70 centimeters, the size of a crow, and leg spines that snapped shut around prey mid-air. When the air changed, the blueprint that built it stopped being viable. We'll come back to that. Arthropleura. What they found at Howick Bay, Northumberland, wasn't a body. It was just a skin. Arthropleura molted its exoskeleton, the segment filled with sand, and the animal walked away. Its shed skin has been studied for over a century. It was the only piece, and no head has ever been recovered. So what we know is the length, the segments, and the leg count. Nothing more. What the skin tells us: 2.7 meters, approximately 50 kilograms, 30-plus segments, and up to 64 legs. The trackways in Scotland exceed 50 centimeters wide. One specimen preserved its last meal in the gut region, giant club mosses. It ate trees. The largest land arthropod that ever existed was a herbivore. Nothing in the Carboniferous was large enough to predate it. It didn't evolve armor or venom. It didn't need to. It simply grew until the question of predation became irrelevant. Pulmonoscorpius. The first vertebrates to evolve on land were tetrapods. 4 limbs, primitive lungs, still mid-experiment on whether leaving the water was worth it. Pulmonoscorpius had already been there. For millions of years before they arrived, it had solved land locomotion, solved hunting. It was waiting. The prey were learning to walk. East Kirkton, West Lothian, 335 million years ago, a tropical shoreline near the equator. The fossils tell us 70 centimeters long, large lateral eyes, no burrowing adaptations. A surface hunter working in daylight. The pincers are small. In a scorpion, that means one thing. This animal doesn't grip to kill. It injects. The tail is the weapon. The tetrapods were the first vertebrates to try land. Pulmonoscorpius had already claimed it. Megarachne. For 25 years, it had the title of being the largest spider that ever existed. One fossil, one scientist, one vault in Argentina nobody could open. Quokka himself noted discrepancies he couldn't resolve. The morphology didn't fit cleanly. But with the original inaccessible and no second specimen, the classification held. In 2005, a second fossil emerged from the same formation. Paul Selden's team re-examined both, including the original, finally out of the vault. What they found were features that only appear in sea scorpions, completely distinct from spider anatomy. Unmistakable. Not a spider, a sea scorpion. There is one animal still coming that holds the record. Not the largest insect, not the largest scorpion, the largest arthropod ever documented on this planet. Its claw alone was longer than your forearm. Brontoscorpio. One claw 90 millimeters long. This is the entire fossil record of this animal. Everything else, the estimated 1 meter body length, the proportions, the reconstruction, comes from comparing that claw to related species and doing the math. One piece of chitin, one animal. It was found in terrestrial sediments in Worcestershire, England, 419 million years ago. Before the first forests, before any vertebrate had reached land. The land surface was rock and low primitive plants, nothing taller than your knee. No trees, no insects, no other large animals of any kind. It wasn't the apex predator because it was the strongest. It was the apex predator because nothing else was there yet. Insects don't have lungs. They breathe through tubes, tracheae, that branch directly into every cell in the body. Oxygen diffuses passively through the system. No pumping, no circulation, just diffusion from the surface inward. At 21% atmospheric oxygen, what we breathe today, that system has a hard limit. Diffusion distance caps insect body size at roughly 10 centimeters. Above that, the inner cells don't get enough oxygen to function. At 35%, the Carboniferous peak, that limit dissolves. The existing body plan scales up. The animals didn't evolve new architecture. Meganeuropsis. This is the largest flying organism that ever existed. Not the largest insect, the largest flying anything in the entire fossil record of life on this planet. Wingspan up to 75 centimeters, bigger than Meganeura. Described in 1939 from specimens found in Kansas and Oklahoma, and nothing since has displaced it. Here's what makes it strange. Meganeuropsis lived in the Permian after the Carboniferous oxygen peak had already started dropping. The atmosphere that supposedly built these giants was declining, and Meganeuropsis got larger anyway. The difference was the sky. No birds existed yet, no pterosaurs, nothing hunted from above. A 75-centimeter flying insect encountered 0 aerial predators, ever. An empty sky isn't neutral space, it's an invitation. Meganeuropsis accepted it and kept growing until something else changed. One animal left, not an insect, not a scorpion. The largest arthropod ever documented, on land or in water. Its claw alone was 46 centimeters. It never needed the oxygen? Jaekelopterus. The largest arthropod ever documented didn't live on land. While everything else in this video was navigating the Carboniferous surface or sky, Jaekelopterus was in freshwater, rivers and lakes in what is now Germany 390 million years ago. We know it from a single claw recovered from a quarry near Prüm, 46 centimeters. From that one fragment, using proportions of related species, the full animal was calculated at 2.3 to 2.6 meters. The math is well established. The result is not disputed. It ambushed. Weak limbs. It couldn't have supported its own weight on land, but in water, it was the apex of everything. A 2.5-meter freshwater predator with a 46-centimeter claw, in a world where the largest fish hadn't evolved yet. Everything in that water was smaller. Nothing hunted it back. It had no reason to change, until the world did. 60 million years. Joint-legged animals built by the same atmosphere. You'd expect the end to match the scale, an impact, a predator, a collapse you could see coming. It was a fungus, one that hadn't existed before, that evolved the ability to eat wood. Wood had been accumulating unrotted for 60 million years. That accumulation was the oxygen. When the fungus started feeding, and 20% oxygen went with it.